Hey, I'm Tom White, sports editor for SchoolVideoNews.com and the director of the Sports Broadcast Institute at the Rockdale Career Academy. And this is the Sports Pod from Henry Engineering. As we prepared for basketball season this year, I looked at our workflow for communication between talent and producers and saw that it was a huge weakness. We had to communicate through nonverbal cues, which works okay if you're close to each other, but a lot of times we were pretty far apart. We'd have a producer up at the top row, and then our talent would be, down near the court, or, you're on either sides of the camera or what have you. So I reached out to the folks at Henry Engineering, and they had the perfect solution for me. The Sports Pod is an all-in-one communications device that allows my high school level talent and producers to work just like the pros. For the talent, they can turn their mics on, they can hit the cough button, we'll get to that in a minute, and as well as do talk back on their own. They also have control over their local and return feeds coming back. Sports Pod has allowed us to really work on what we do as a broadcast team. A pet peeve for me has always been to hear a talent reach up to take off their headphones because they have to cough or sneeze or what have you. Well, that's now eliminated with the cough button. Now the talent can hold down the cough button, it mutes the mic until they let it go, and it comes back whenever they're ready. Another major issue we had was off-air communication. In the past, it was initiated typically by the producer, but if the talent needed to do something, they had to give that nonverbal cue. And it wasn't effective. So with the Sports Pod, our talent simply hits the talkback button, which in turn mutes the program feed coming out of the Sports Pod and allows for a back channel communication with the producer. So for example, if the talent wants to know how many fouls a player has or how many points a player has, they just hold the talkback button. How many fouls does number 5 have? The producer can then return that information, and it doesn't go out on the air. It makes your talent sound better. It also makes your broadcast better. Henry Engineering seems to have tapped into the heart of video teachers because they've made it extremely simple to use. For example, your talent turns their mic on, cough, talk back, simple there, local and return. They can adjust whatever they want there on the front side. So your talent can operate the box really, really easily. And on the back, setup is really easy because they have clearly labeled everything well. You have your Ethernet inputs here. We'll get to that and why that's important in a minute, but also your different inputs, outputs, your headphones, your mics, everything you need right there. The great thing about the Sports Pod is that it allows you to really, you can give it to a student, they can plug it up because it's so clearly labeled. But to get the full potential of the Sports Pod, pairing with the Multiphones 2 device takes it to a completely different level in terms of ease of use, professionalism, and much more. Now, Multiphones 2 is a talkback box that allows you to select 3 different areas that you're going to talk back. Pretty simple setup, A, B, and C for where you're going to run your Ethernet cable. Remember on the back of the Sports Pod, I showed the Ethernet ports here. Those are used for not only power over Ethernet, so you don't have to run 12 volt, but also all of your return feeds can come through the Multiphones 2 into the Sports Pod. So now you just run your Ethernet cable, you run your microphone output and your headsets right here, and that's all the cables you have to run for this unit. Another beautiful thing, you see there's 2 Ethernet ports here. You can daisy chain up to 4 Sports Pods together running 1 Ethernet cable. So in theory, you can take 1 Ethernet cable, run it to your first Sports Pod, loop it to the next 3, and then run 4 home runs for XLR to get audio back to your mixer, and you have 4 fully functioning, talkback ready, offline, backline, cough, the whole thing run in 5 home run cables. So you can't beat that in terms of ease of use. Make sure you check out henryeng.com for more details on the Sports Pod. And if you're coming to NAB, Henry Engineering has a game changer that they are releasing while we are in Vegas with SchoolVideoNews.com. I can't tell you what I know, but I do know that it is a game changer for high school sports video production. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you out making great content soon.